Okay, today we're going to talk about the Greg Bennett Royale series, and the guitar I'm holding is an RL3, which is sort of the core model that represents the best in that series. And as I said, I'm just going to start from the headstock and work my way down. And just referencing the design perspective, when you see even a point on one of our guitars here, what it really is two circles coming together. The whole goal is to always be incorporating those soft, sexy lines into the instrument. We use Grover machine heads, which are just wonderfully precise instruments. I think it's a 13 or 14 to 1 ratio, so they tune smoothly and accurately. I love the look of them. They're that nice soft round look which ties into the design, and they feel great. There's no sharp, harsh edges on them. You'll notice I use a little bit smaller headstock than most, and the reason for that is that the smaller that headstock, the less resonant surface you have. You can actually make the string perform better by the size of the headstock. Because if that headstock is large and it's resonating, it's moving, it's using up energy, which means it's taking energy off those strings and sort of diminishing the attack and the sustain and the general performance of the guitar. Also, when the headstock is smaller, there's a shorter distance between the nut, where the string makes contact to the neck, and the machine head. And as you shorten that distance, you actually exponentially increase the downward pressure at the nut. And when you combine that with the fact that the headstock is cocked back like it is, that actually prevents energy on the string from passing that point. So you can, again, improve the string performance on the guitar just by the size and headstock angle. And then also, it's lighter, which just makes it less neck heavy and more comfortable when you're on stage. And finally, we use graphite nuts, which are dense enough to give you nice string performance without affecting the tone in a negative way, and that it almost has a self-lubricating quality to it, so you don't have the string binding up in the nut. And you'll also notice that our machine heads converge rather than flare out, and that also allows for a straight path, the string to have a straight path through the nut. All right, continuing on with the neck, we have a really wonderful neck. It's very comfortable to the feel and doesn't take away from the performance of the guitar. It's up at the nut, you have 1 5/8, which is a really comfortable width for electric players. It gives you plenty of room to bend and to feel comfortable chording, but it doesn't make the neck feel like a baseball bat. And again, this is sort of a fine line you walk, because you need to have structural integrity. You need that neck to be rigid, which means you need to have some mass to it, some size, because if you don't, if it gets too thin, the neck actually behaves like a shock absorber. When you hit the string, it sucks energy off the string, so the attack and sustain and general power of the string is diminished. So it's a really, really nice feel in the hand. It's got enough round or camber to give it depth and enough width to give it the strength to keep it rigid. We use a rosewood fingerboard, which just has a great feel, and obviously if you have to work on the frets, it deals with that really, really well. And we use a mahogany neck on the back there. Okay, we're down at the body, the neck joint now, but I want to tell you about what happened on the body design here. This is a semi-hollow design where you have these hollow wings out on the side, and generally that kind of guitar is built with a center block down the middle, which gives you that rigidity, and then the sides are like 3/16" plywood that's molded almost like an acoustic guitar would be, and then along the edge of the seam here inside you have this kerfing. And what it does, the idea is that you get sort of a solid body string performance, in other words a fairly hot string, but you pick up the tone, you get a warmer, richer tone because those side wings, if you will, are resonating. Well, what's cool about this guitar, what I love about it is initially there was a big problem. I sent off the designs, and the factory sent back word that they couldn't bend this curve or this curve as the drawing indicated. So I thought about it and decided I'd have them CNC or route out the center block and the sides from one solid block of wood. And they did that, and of course what happened is the rigidity that we picked up, the fact that that's one piece and not a bunch of components, gave the string platform all this extra rigidity. And when you couple that with the fact that rather than a double cutaway, it's a single cutaway design, where your neck, rather than being fully exposed, has got about 4 more inches of support. What that means is that neck, which is hanging out there and acting like a shock absorber, now has more support. So again, you're picking up more rigidity, you have a hotter attack, longer sustain. And what people are loving about this guitar, some of the best players out there, is that you get this really, really hot string performance like you would from a great archtop solid body, but you also pick up the tone from the sides. And the challenge that most people face when they play a guitar like this, a typical or traditional design, I should say, is they love the warmth, they love the tone, but it lacks the ability to cut through. It lacks a definition or articulation. So the beauty in this guitar is you get that articulation, you get that cut with the tone. So it's a huge market potential. Guys that have traditional solid bodies but would love more tone is great for them. And the guys that have the traditional semi-hollows and just want a little more attack, it's perfect for them. Okay, continuing, as you can see, the guitar is equipped with Duncan design pickups, and they're based on sort of the traditional double coil pickup. So it's not designed to accentuate the highs or make a little more distorted sort of sound. It really is designed to pick up the best attributes of the guitar. So it's really a straight ahead pickup. On the bridge, it's obviously an adjustable bridge. But we use a stud piece that's about 3 times the size of a normal stud piece. So, and that coupled with what I call a flange base. There's literally an anchor with a broad flange on it that rod screws into, which means you have an incredibly rigid bridge. So sitting under that string, that bridge going into this arch top and that rigid frame prevents the body from stealing energy off the string again. So you've got a hot string, a lot of sustain, and a lot of punch. The stop piece, which is an interesting little piece of hardware, most people don't realize that that actually is a great tone control. The lower you take that, the more bearing pressure you create at the saddle, the hotter the string. If you want to warm this guitar up, you can literally raise that stop piece up and it will soften the sound of the guitar. We use 500K pots for the potentiometers and 18 gauge wire, so it really is professional quality electronics on board. And then the top is the finest of Mother Nature, quilted maple, and it is a real veneer that's laid over the top, but just I can't say enough about the factory procuring this kind of quality wood. The back is a striped mahogany, which really is an elegant looking piece of wood. Most mahogany lacks that stripe, and sometimes it'll actually have a little bit of cascading flame to it. So kind of a new twist on a very traditional sort of instrument. Massive amounts of tone, complex overtones and harmonics, and you still get great cut and punch. So if you're in a band and you need to cut through and be heard and have tone, a great option for you. The guitar we were just looking at was an RL3 with the quilt top and the cream ring, sort of a vintage look. There's also an RL1, which is a great value. It's got a bolt-on neck. There's an RL2, a bit simpler guitar, dot inlays, not quite so fancy woods. And then above this, there's also one version that has a spruce top and a floating jazz bridge, which is really a wonderful combination for jazz players. It gives you that sort of brown tone, a really deep, warm sound. And then we've got the RL4, which is you know, gold hardware, black top hat knobs, 8-ply binding. It's just a really rich guitar. Front and back, it just has some great wood on it. And this comes in black and wine red as well, so it's really a pretty guitar. And then we also did a number of custom pieces. This is a pearl white, which gives obviously a really distinct look. And again, just a really great combination of tone, feel, and performance.